Hey, here we are again, Mark Hanna, Hothead Thundermouth with you. Back to my new series, Shut Up and Play. This is where I shut up on the jokes, try to be nice, and play the game. Show some things. Maybe you guys can pick some stuff up. Maybe I'll learn some stuff. Certainly, I'm learning a lot about Valor of the Guards, which I'd never really played before. And playing a city fight on there is quite exciting, as you'll see. So I'm going to present this format. The first two turns of HazMo 23, City Fight. Basically, the Germans have to clear out most of 3 or 4 city blocks with a pretty massive force. So it's quite entertaining. The Germans have a lot of tanks. The Russians have commissar, mines, uh, artillery, stuff like that. Let me show you some of this stuff here real quick. All right, here's, let's see, I want to show this one first. All right, this is the setup. No, that's not the one I want to show first. I want to show the other one first. Yeah, this one here. I got to move my guy up here. So this shows you, let's see. I wonder if I can get this stuff to work. Why isn't it working? Oh, that's because I have this too high. There we go. Okay. So Russians, mines, mines, mines. Wire here with a roadblock and another roadblock here to keep the Germans from getting their tanks up the streets. As you can see, there's basically a few ways for the Germans to get in on this thing. Um, they can set up, let me clear this here. Change this back. I don't think this is quite the right size. 1 second. There, it's too big. I guess I didn't take quite the shot. But so the Germans are setting up here along that road. They can come in over here. Okay. And so where can they go? Well, you could see right here the Germans can come this way. Of course, they can come right across this way. And then they can enter and come this way. All right. As a German player, you'll see my attack plan here in a second. But effectively, what I have to do is limit the Russian building hexes on the lower floor to 6, if I can get all the rest of these. Now you can see that the Russians didn't defend everything. They didn't defend this stuff up here. And some of these on buildings here is just probably would lead to unnecessary losses. Although it could have possibly done some damage to the Germans. I decided not to try that. And probably people who are good at defense would have tried it. And so this isn't my strong point. Right, so here we go. Here's the final setup after the hip has been removed. You can see that the mines are no longer visible to the Germans, but they can see the roadblocks and the wire. That's an SSR for Valor of the Guards. There's also some trenches here. I've put actually in this trench, which is hidden right now, is a flak gun. It'll have to come on the board under concealment because it's not concealment terrain as soon as there's LOS from the Germans. Here we've got, there's a tank under that trench, a T-34. Can't go anywhere, but he's defending the middle of the road there, so that's a very important spot for him. And what else? That's about it. We're going to see what the Germans' response to this is in the next video. So I'm going to splice everything together. That's pretty much everything. So shut up and play number 2. Oh, I didn't turn this thing off. Shut up and play number 2. Hothead Thundermouth. Okay, as you know, this is unscripted, uncensored, unapologetic, psychologically immune from social media scoring. I'm your host, Mark Hanna. Call me Hothead if you want. Okay, I hope you enjoy this. End tape. Okay, hi folks, this is me, Mark Hanna, trying to get intelligent about how I'm orienting the camera here. Maybe it'll be better than the last video, as I've got the camera running lengthwise instead of widthwise here. So let's see. I had to jury rig a little bit. The camera is a little bit fragile on the clamp, but I think it'll work. Okay, so here's the situation. I've set up the Germans that I want to set up. These are actually entering from off board, so they're actually set up. These are set up on the map. Snipers have been placed, and you can see here I've put 3 Stugs full of smoke. These are S9s. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, they can hit with S9 now. It actually doesn't behoove them. This is one of those weird rules here where if you shoot at the concealed guy, he's going to get an extra +2. It's going to be +1 for the vehicle, so it's a +3. Smoke gives you an extra +2 to hit, so on area that's an S9. And I'm not so sure I get the point blank on area fire. But in any case, that means I need basically a 6 or a 7 to hit that, so that the final number is a 9. But I've got S9, so I don't really want to waste my ammo by actually missing and using up my ammo. So, even though hitting this hex that doesn't have anything that's not hip, I can hit that hex at full blast. These hexes I cannot. That's to prevent the omniscient player effect, which I somewhat disagree with here because this is a prepared attack. But what I'll be doing then, of course, is shooting into the streets. So I can go boing, boing, boing. And if that fails, I've got assault engineers underneath here that can throw smoke into the street. It's a bit dangerous. You can see these black dots. These are all wide city boulevards, so the bullets bounce up and off out of them as they try to cross. But what I'm trying to do for the big plan here is I've kept a bunch of guys. There's a ton of guys off map here. About half my force has not even been deployed yet, including 3 Stugs with 75Ls and a bunch of 5.48s and another 4 8.38s. Keeping them flexible, I actually want to clear out these areas with scouts. I don't know what the Soviets have. As the Soviet player, I know there's nothing here, but I've got to play this right. So I want to clear out all these areas before I bring on those other guys and make sure they arrive safely. Last thing we need is a bunch of hip dudes springing out at us. As you can see, these are all gutted, so they're roofless. Not so sure, though, that means these upper floors can't be occupied. I think they can. So we have to do a careful job here to make sure that all of these are indeed searched and cleared out for the second wave, which will come on turn 2. I've set up the 2 Stukas. I have to declare which turn they come in. I declared turn 4, hoping that the Russians will be in somewhat of a disarrayed state by then, so that the Stukas can make an impact. These guys are all concealed in buildings, really hard to spot. You don't really want to have to deal with that. On the other hand, the closer I get my own units, the more chance of a mistaken attack. So, well, that's it. You got Stukas here. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So that's the plan. These guys I'm going to be deploying, making sure I clear out these buildings here and these here. I do have some good firepower stacks. One sets up here on the map. One is coming in to set up right there to, well, it doesn't look like they have a lot of stuff over there. But to basically
eventually get into one of these buildings and start pummeling them across there, because obviously there's no wire there, so this is a better entrance way. So I'm trying to pincer them a little bit, because I do, by the end of turn 8, need to take out all but 6 buildings, I believe. Path to victory, the Germans have at least 2 mobile AFEs, okay, with functioning main armament. All right. And then I have to take all but 6 ground level stone locations. Okay, so I don't have to take the upper floors. I just have to take the ground levels. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. All right, so that's the setup. What I'm going to probably do for these videos is to keep them in the half-hour range for a change, since I'm quite verbose and talk too much. Anyway, yeah, I want to probably not show all the dice rolls and stuff. Some people like to see that. I might do that for some key close combats or something. But in general, I don't want to have a lot of filler in there. There's some good guys out there who roll every die and explain every die and explain every move that they're making. I'll probably interject a couple of times when I think something's important. For instance, I'm going to say that there's some guys who need to try to deploy here. I can start off with 6 half squads as it is, with over 30 squads, but I need more. So ultimately, though, I'll want to recombine those. I'm not a big fan of this, half squad invasion tactic that people like to use. Maybe not. Maybe I should use it more. I don't know how useful it is in a city fight, though, to be honest with you. This is where, I'm an upper, well, let's just say a mid-upper player based on my current area rating, but I'm certainly not up with the 1900 players. And I've seen them in action, and I've played some of those guys, and there's something different about the way they play that I'm like, wow, leaves me scratching my head. Pretty amazing stuff to see those guys play the game. Right. Okay. But here you're just going to have an average, sort of good Joe doing a lot of dumb things and some smart things, I hope, too. All right. That's enough for the preamble. Let's get into the game. Okay, so that's German first player turn done. A couple highlights here. We did break the flamethrower guy and one of the demo guys. These Texas are dangerous. I mean, if you try to move with flamethrowers or non-assault move, this +3 goes down to a +1. And some conscripts did the damage. Now, one conscript remains here, possibly threatening these guys. But I think they'd be okay. They just don't want to get stuck in the open here. So that's where they are now. I got an 838 covering for them. This guy will probably have to lose wall advantage. He might try to fight through just to disrupt this. But I don't have a lot over here, and I'd like to let it last a couple of turns. So I'm probably going to fall back at this point here to get into range of some firepower that I have across the street. So the Russians are going to fall back here. As tempting as it is to try to go into close combat, if I don't tie them up, I don't have any backup over there. I've got my 2 MOLP projectors. That's it. And a broken guy. So they have to be a little more resilient than that. So they'll probably fall back. Depends on how effective this guy's fire is. If he manages to break him, then he might open fire and this guy assault move over. But the thing is, conscripts, they lose concealment in this kind of terrain, gutted buildings and stuff. So, and I'm not in a position to really get reinforcements over to the front line. So probably, as tempting as it is, will not counterattack there. Over here, the Germans have largely cleared out most of these buildings and levels through diligent searching and maneuver. So 1 kill stack stays here. A little bit worried about that sniper. Another kill stack here, also in range of the sniper. Don't have as much sniper bait out as I'd like to intercept that. We'll see. when I'm playing somebody else, they always seem to get my best stuff. CE tank, 9.2 liter. I'm playing here by myself, so maybe it won't be that bad. All right, so the Russians on the negative side did not get radio contact, so they don't have any spotting rounds out here. So may not be that big of a deal, but probably most of the rest of the Germans are going to come on very soon, as the Germans are going to clear this road network, these two roads, and bring on some tanks. They don't know if there's some anti-tank mines out there. I'm not sure you can substitute. But players will be aware that the mines that I put out were here, here, and here. So the Germans decided to come up the middle. I don't know. I don't know that they would do that. All right. That's it. It will be the Soviet turn 1. Okay, so I've done the Russian turn 2 now. We're up to close combat. You'll see this silly conscript survived here. All sorts of fire. And advanced in and CX'd himself to DM these guys back here. Who knows, maybe he'll take out an 838. If it's one of my German 838s, he won't make it. There won't be any ambush, so it's just going to be hand-to-hand close combat. Okay? All the rest of these guys jockeyed around. I decided to advance these Germans upstairs, since that's a 2-level building. Let them see over some of this rubble, well, at least this piece. And over the roadblock. That's very annoying for the Russians, actually. Okay, we've got some guys in the cellar here. The cellar marker fell off. And also I needed to put the gun under concealment in this trench. That's where the anti-aircraft gun is. The Germans don't know exactly what kind of gun it is. So that's something to be wary of. So they also know about this tank here now, since this guy advanced up. And so they see the Germans have a lot of anti-tank capability on this street. So the German tanks will either have to force the issue en masse and hope for the best, or avoid the area. Okay? So that's pretty much it. We can do the close combat now. So the Russians, we're doing 1 to 2 hand-to-hand close combat, +1. I'm not sure they get the -1. Hold on, just a second. No, they don't get a -1. That's only in the Japanese. They get a stealthy ambush modifier if they can try to ambush. That's the difference. So that's it. We got a 1 to 2 hand-to-hand. Let's take a look at the results table for this. Always exciting to do hand-to-hand, isn't it? Especially if you're the Russians. So 1 to 2 hand-to-hand is a 6. That's pretty good. You're adding 1 to this roll. They rolled a 9. Not good enough. And the Germans got a 2 to 1 -1. Much better chance of success here. A 3 will do it. Very much will do it. So that was the result of that. So there's some first casualties, first blood. It was a bit annoying for them, the Germans, but they did take that out. Okay, so concealments now. I don't think there's anybody. These guys can't conceal. They're the only ones who are, they're actually out of danger now from this kill stack. So Germans don't have a good spot for the kill stack yet. That's on purpose. So Russians contracted their perimeter a little bit, but not much. Okay, that's it. We'll be ready for turn 2. Turn 2 coming, and probably the rest of the Germans are going to come on. We don't want to wait too long to bring our assets to bear. Okay, as we continue our turns here, got time for another turn. The video is not long enough yet. So I'll see what I can do to show you the beginning of turn 2. Here, the Germans are setting up off board. Should be putting that under concealment. Here's everything. These guys are upstairs now. The smoke will be flipping over after I roll for wind change. Might even come off, unlikely if there's gusts. And the Germans have secured this part of the perimeter, more or less. So now I'm bringing in a pretty large attack force along the roads that are available. I still need to clear out some of these to make sure there's no mines through searching and so forth. So we will be doing that. Yeah. So let's get started on this. So, curiosity, we will do the wind change roll here for the Germans, and it's a 6, so no wind change. Okay, so let's examine what the Germans are going to do. Let's play their turn out, and we'll check back in the close combat phase. I'm going to flip this over now, even though it's the rally phase. Okay. All right, folks. We shall return. Right, so after the movement phase, you can see that, well, maybe you can't see it, but there's a mine that's been discovered here. Another minefield here. A trailblaze has been put through it by this tank. Tank's trying to creep up through here. Flamethrower squad in here. Here's some residuals. I need to take these off. Did some armored assaults with road bonus where we could. Look at that. I'm no good at this. Removing by. I don't know how these guys do it, really. I guess practice with tweezers, right? Yep, that comes off, but not the DM. So, a couple of baiting shots. And the Germans are mostly on. They've left these 2 units, you see them here, off map. These are kind of weird, they don't really do much, but you can keep them back as much as you want to have 2 mobile AFV functioning to have them. So they can meet the victory conditions just by never bringing those on. It's a very strange thing to me. Okay. Germans better be careful. I got to watch out my own biases here. I didn't go upstairs to make sure that was cleared out. If they had left some Germans back there, or Soviets hidden, that could have been some real problem for them. But they didn't. But I'm going to have to be very mindful. Also need to remember that I need to roll, when I roll a 12, I'll need to do a booby trap check if there's a task check that the Germans do. Okay, so that's their move. It's now defensive fire, and then I'll do the rest of the turn up to close combat. Right, here's the situation. At the end of German turn 2, the Germans have taken these buildings. They need to consolidate them. They need to mop up or explore all those hexes. So they didn't try to advance any further into this area. They'd like to get these guys back. Hopefully they'll rally. I need them to rally. I need that flamethrower. Okay, so I've advanced up to the roadblock here. This is all good. I didn't get into that building, though. I don't have a lot of infantry in here if you wanted to do a counterattack into this little sector. I don't think the Russians are that smart or that stupid. Certainly, I have no idea. I'm going to have to roll for it. We've got our guys up here starting to lose possible lines of sight, really. They're going to have to cross over, but they'll stay up there for now. And if they don't have any targets, they'll dismantle and get ready to run. Okay. Over here, another kill stack advanced up. Russians routed to here. The commissar is going to be coming up and trying to rally those guys. And we have in here the artillery. So we're going to try to put that somewhere where it can affect them and hopefully take out a few guys. These pins and TIs come off here. Okay. Germans' firepower is starting to bear. There's a lot of it. Hopefully I can do something with this OBA. Yeah, harassing fire is not applicable. That's okay. I don't really want to do harassing fire. Ideally, I'd like to be able to torch it on those guys and then have it drift over here. Boy, that would be nice. Take out a whole slew of units. Okay, over here the Germans have advanced up. They're starting to shell already with their tanks here. So, yeah, well, I mean, obviously the Russians aren't expected to hold all of the buildings. They just need to hold 6. So it's about force preservation until then. So we'll see what happens on the Russian turn. Okay, so here we are after the Russian attacks and defenses. We saw some loss of Russians over here. There was just too much firepower with tanks shooting in on them. The commissar got pinned, so I didn't want to break him because we have this, and I want him to be able to continue to direct that. So he's sitting in there. He's got some help. These guys are helping. We've occupied all of the... this guy should be CX. We've occupied all of the fortified buildings. The Germans don't know about them yet. Trying to defend this. The Germans realize they don't need to consolidate anymore. They just need to get ground level at this point, unless the Russians have decided that they're going to fortify and put an AT gun up at the higher level. However, they did not do that. Also, this is quite interesting. I have a position here. I'm in position with these sappers to take out the roadblock. I'm going to have to look up that procedure. The AT gun is over here pointing out that way. So, don't see any German tanks coming that way yet. But there's a lot of time left in this scenario, as it's going to be turn 3. The sniper did get active, killed a half squad here, wounded the 10-2 in here. So, it's not all been German. The FFE hit some stuff, killed a guy here, broke some guys that are back here. They had to go to the rubble. Sorry, I've got to fix those tacks. All right, that's pretty much it. We're starting on turn 3 for the Germans here. Let me see if I can do this without making it worse. Always problematic. Yeah, this is all right. I think this guy should be broken, though. Should be 2 broken guys in there. Okay, and this guy's not broken. Okay. So the Germans just continue to press their advance. They've got some momentum here. I only have a conscript, it looks like. These 2 guys went in the trench. It looked like they had overstacked here, but it wasn't anywhere clear that was the case. So I couldn't see them. So these happen to be the MOLP projectors. I was going to use them for infiltration here, but this whole thing collapsed so quickly. So, yeah, I've got some guys coming in the trench to reinforce this side. Boy, that's a big stack, plus the tank is in there too, isn't it? Yeah. We got a lot going on in there, that's for sure. This tank is pointing that way. All right. So, and very interesting, very entertaining game so far. Really a lot of fun. So, episode 2 of Shut Up and Play. I'll be putting it up soon. Thanks for watching. If you like it, click like. Subscribe if you didn't like it. Thanks for watching.